What's going on, guys? Destructinator here, and today, oh man guys, it has been too long since I've been on the Carnage channel, but I know you guys have seen a couple of my gameplays recently, but you haven't heard my voice on this channel in quite some time, a little bit too long for my taste, but hey, I'm finally back, and today I'm bringing you guys an absolutely insane gameplay. It's a 231 kill HEXA KEM strike on the map strike zone with that very nice autumn camo honey badger. So hopefully you guys enjoy the gameplay in the background. I did cut out a little bit of the 5th and 6th chem strikes just because they were a little longer than the other ones. The rest of them were just about 2 minutes or a little bit less. The 3rd and 4th were 70 and 80 seconds, I believe. So hopefully you guys enjoy the gameplay in the background. Pretty entertaining in my opinion. But today what I want to talk to you guys about is basically the concept of how the grass is always greener on the other side. And it does start with a little bit of a story, so let's get right into it. Alright, so basically, I went on vacation a couple days ago, about a week ago, to Miami for a couple days with, just my family and my parents, just to get away for a little bit. We went for a couple days, and it was a lot of fun. We were, going out to dinner, having fun. It was really enjoyable, and on the last day when we were going to the airport, my parents wanted to stop by a, modern art museum, and basically, I'm personally not a fan of modern art. If you guys have ever seen modern art, I think a lot of it is bullshit. I mean, they say, oh, it inspires stuff, but I mean, if you can find a way to interpret copper garbage bags as artistic, hat off to you. I can't. But basically, they're not super into modern art, but they do enjoy it. So we were going to this pretty famous modern art museum. I can't think of the name right now. And basically, we were looking around, we had a little tour, and some of the stuff was pretty good. There were some pretty interesting ideas, and there were also some pretty not so interesting ideas, but there was one that really caught my eye, and basically what it is 2 stacks of paper. And it's not like, it's not like regular printer paper, it's more like the kind of thicker, maybe like 1 foot by 2 foot or 2 foot by 3 foot paper, and there were 2 stacks of them. And basically printed on each paper, the stack's about a foot high, so it's kind of a lot of paper. On each paper was printed, one of them had nothing is better than here, or nowhere is better than here, excuse me. And the other one had somewhere is better than here. And there was, maybe 6 inches of space between the 2 stacks. And the whole idea with the art piece is that you can actually take home sheets of the paper, and each pile has that same message on it throughout the pile. So, one pile nowhere is better than here, and one pile somewhere is better than here. And, at first I didn't think anything of it, but it was pretty cool because it's actually worth $3 million. And like I was saying before, the way the piece works is that people are allowed to take sheets of paper and, kind of move them around and that kind of thing and take them home with them. And that's what we did. The guy was like, here, you guys can have some. We took a couple sheets of each stack. And the way, kind of the ownership of it works is you actually have to have a certificate of ownership that shows that you're the one who owns the piece, you're the one who paid for it. But in my opinion, it was kind of interesting that you could take parts of it, and I didn't honestly see how that worked, but hey, I was happy to have a little piece of it. And, the more I thought about the message on it as we were, going on the airplane in the airport, the more I realized how kind of important the meaning of it was. And basically, what I realized is that it applied a lot to my life. And I know you guys can probably, kind of empathize with this too, where, there's always those times, especially, at home, that kind of thing. There's always those times where you feel like anywhere, somewhere in the world is better than here. Those really difficult times where your parents are mad at you, or you're just having a really bad time, or something happened at school, that kind of thing that really brings you down and you just want to be somewhere else. Everyone's had those kind of moments, and it really does suck when they happen, because you honestly, I've been in those before, I've seen people in those before. It's very difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel in those kind of situations, the whole kind of, oh, it'll be, get better, fine, once you're actually in the middle of that kind of situation, you honestly feel like the world is over, and it's an awful feeling, because if you don't kind of get yourself out of it, that can be life-changing in a really bad way. Fortunately, I've, never been so bogged down by that kind of feeling that I've, had done anything stupid or reckless or that kind of thing, but I've known people who have, and I'm sure you guys have known people who have, or maybe even have yourself, and it's a, awful, awful feeling where the place where you were born, your home, where you live, if you feel like you don't have a home in your home, it's really terrible. And that's what that reminded me of, is all those times, somewhere is better than here. Anything is better than here. And it's really sad. And then you look at the other pile, and the other pile says nowhere is better than here. And those are, you know, all the good times that you have, all the, you know, fun you have with your family, and, you know, all the great times that happen at your house. And everyone's had those great times as well as those bad times. And, you know, it's so true, you know, those great times, you just wish you could stay in that moment forever. And you think, there's no place on earth I would rather be than right here in my house with people who care about me and with people who love me. It's a really incredible feeling to have. And a lot of the time we can lose sight of that with the, you know, somewhere is better than here. And so obviously, like I said, a lot of modern art, I don't find it very interesting, I don't find it meaningful, but this one really spoke to me. And it's the whole concept of the grass is always greener on the other side. And if you guys don't know what that is, basically it's like once you're, you know, the idea is like there's two fields of grass next to each other with a fence going between them. And so if you're an animal on one side of the fence, you look at the other side and you say, wow, you know, look at the grass over there. It's so much greener. It's so much nicer. And then maybe at some point you do get over to the other side. And then you look back at where you were and you say, wow, look at the grass back where I was. That's where the greener one was. That's where it was better. And it's kind of this endless vicious cycle of you thinking where you aren't is better than where you are. And we all have those feelings. That's more the anywhere is better than here, the somewhere is better than here side. And it's an awful feeling to have. I find it terrible when people are forced into that situation where you can't consider where you are as a happy place. It's not a good feeling, especially when it comes in a home kind of environment. And then, you know, there's the other one where you really learn to kind of appreciate what you have, you know, all that kind of stuff. And what I realized from it, is that you need to take both of those kinds of situations in stride. You know, whenever you're in that kind of bad, depressing, whatever situation where you think anywhere could be better than here, I want to be somewhere else, you have to know that, you know, the people around you, as mad as they are, as unhappy as they are, as much as you've, you know, made them mad or pissed them off or whatever, they, you know, they care about you. It's not like the one sudden bad thing you've done that just, you know, threw years and years of care and love out the window. And obviously it's very hard to think like that when you're actually in the situation, but if we, you know, that's what you have to think. You have to realize that, hey, yes, it's a bad situation, yes, I've done something wrong, whatever, but the people here still love me, they still care about me. And holding on to that thought and holding on to that realization that it's not the end of the world, it's not all over just because you made one big mistake, that can really help you get through some of those times with, you know, your head held a little higher and maybe less damage out of it because of it. And then same with the other times, you know, you have to realize that those great times, those awesome places where you're at your house or wherever you are and you're like, wow, this is better than any place I've ever been. I am thoroughly enjoying myself. I love life. Those moments. You have to realize that those are the moments you should look back on with, you know, fondness, and don't just throw that all away, especially if, you know, someone else in your family makes a mistake per se. You have to be the one who helps them out and says, look, you know, yeah, you made a huge mistake, yes, you messed up, we get it, but you have to push the thought on them if they can't do it themselves, that it's not all over, it's not the end of the world. So that's what came to the realization for me, is that, yeah, there's those times where you're just down, you're out, you feel like it's the end of it, but you have to, you know, when that time happens, you have to realize that it's not really the end of it, and although it may seem like it, you can see no way out, no light at the end of the tunnel, it's not the case. So that's what you know, my experience kind of told me, is that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, guys. You know, as sad as you are, as upset as you are, as bad as you think life is right there, it'll always get better. There's always a high to the low. That's how life is, and, you know, we have to be able to take those in stride. That's how we can lead a, you know, happy, healthy, successful life. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. You know, I kind of rambled on a little bit at the end there, but I thought it's a really important topic, and, you know, it really spoke to me. I try to save, you know, the best kind of commentaries, best topics I can think of for videos that get uploaded on Carnage, that kind of thing, because you know, it's a way for me to talk to a lot of people about something I find meaningful and something that I think can actually help people, you know, in situations that I might be in or stuff like that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hexa Chem Strike, 231 kills. Let me know what you think about what I said, if you can apply that to your life, and hopefully you guys can apply what I said to your life and make the best of it. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Come subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed the gameplay or the commentary. Links are in the description as always. My name is Nader, and I'm out. Peace.
Nader, let's go. At 123, 231, Nader.
Okay, let's go.